All right. So let's talk about everything that's going on in the world of the DCEU, Warner Brothers Discovery. It seems like there's lots of change happening. So the highlight there, of course, we're going to discuss in detail is they want to put together a 10-year plan for DC films, similar to what Marvel has been doing for a while now with Kevin Feige. And Alan Horn used to be there as the head of the Disney motion picture division. Before that, he was at Warner Brothers. Now he's back at Warner Brothers in more of a consultant role. So this week, really what kicked all of this off was a quarter two earnings call from Warner Brothers Discovery, and it was their first call since the merger where they were able to report like real numbers and everything under this new leadership. So the Discovery leadership took over the company, Warner Brothers, and now they're Warner Brothers Discovery. So you have a new CEO in David Zaslav, who, by the way, looks like a baller dude when he's facing the camera. Clearly knows how to pose.
I'd work for that guy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who wouldn't? Anyway, so the big piece of news that came out before all of that, even like, the call was Batgirl was shelved by Warner Brothers Discovery.
Yeah.
They said, and actually here's the thing. The news leaked on the New York Post early in the week because it was before Warner Brothers made any official announcement. So as we found out later on that the directors of the movie, there's two directors. One of them, they're both from Moroccan. They live in or Belgium, I think, and they were at one of the two of them were at one of their weddings. So one of them was getting married, and everybody's there, and they found out at that wedding. This New York Post article says that their movie has been shelved by the studio. So, I mean, that's
Yikes.
not a good feeling to have, obviously. But the reports were saying that the reason for the cancellation of this movie, which was meant to be going straight to HBO Max, is because A, it was supposedly not very good. Like it looked like cheap, it wasn't very well produced, and basically David Zaslav would then later on in the quarter two earnings call say that they want DC movies to be top notch, first class citizens in the world of comic book movies. They don't want to play second fiddle to Marvel anymore. They have like the most
Good.
iconic, some will say even more iconic characters than the DC franchise does. Sorry, the
I would argue
Marvel
they do, actually.
franchise does. Like DC's got like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, right? Like, you can buy shirts with those logos, and like if you never watch any of the movies with those characters, you would know that's a Superman symbol, that's a Batman symbol.
Yep.
So the whole point of this is Warner Brothers wants to, they canceled this movie, and they said that officially the reason was they called it I have it right here, a purchasing accounting maneuver, which is basically saying they're going to get a tax write-off on this. They're going to take a tax write-off. And so they will lose money, but they won't lose as much. And they had felt that there would have been a much bigger loss for them financially putting it up on HBO Max and releasing it. And it would do a lot of damage to the brand of DC. Because they didn't think it was good enough. So they did that. They also canceled Scoob, the sequel to the Scoob that came out a couple of years ago on HBO Max. It would have been a $40
Also,
million
probably a good
movie.
move.
Yeah, and then Batgirl was already going over budget. It was originally meant to be 70 million. It had gone up to 90 million, and it may have needed even more money still. It was in post-production. So I wanna ask you guys this. The gist of all this is Batgirl is gone. They've
Yep.
said that they like what they have on the schedule now, which includes Black Adam, Shazam 2, Aquaman 2, The Flash, that's coming out next year, which will see Michael Keaton return as his Tim Burton versus Batman. Ben Affleck's Batman is going to be there too. There's a whole lot of cameos in that movie. They like those movies, but they're saying moving forward, DC is going to be where it deserves to be, and that's at the top. And we're gonna take movies theatrical. We're not gonna drop 80-90 million dollars in a movie that's not gonna make us anything back by sending it straight to streaming. And
Right.
they now want to put in a 10-year plan. So all of that news that just dropped on the world, there's people have a lot of different kinds of feelings. Some people are mad, they want to now see Batgirl. I mean, I feel like that's a little like, okay, you want to see it because you want to know just how bad it is. But then there's some people out there who are saying this is great because now DC's finally getting on the right track. So I want to ask you, Andrew, first. What do you think about all this news, and where do you think everything is headed from here?
Well, like I've said a million times, I think if DC is just interested in competing with Marvel and we're going to end up with, the Pepsi Coke debate on DC Marvel, and it's just two of the exact same things with different characters, I'm not interested. I think this is a really good move for them to say, let's establish a brand for the DC comics as a property, as a movie property, and let's do something different. In all honesty, I like the idea of bringing back Michael Keaton as Batman, but I don't know how they were going to do it. But if they were going to reintroduce sort of a campy 1960s Adam West type Batman where the costumes are playful and the world isn't so gritty and serious, I think we could use some more playful, fun, light superhero movies. And Shazam, interestingly, they didn't cancel that, but Shazam gave us that originally. And there is some levity and a sense of humor and bright colors and sort of this let's all play pretend feeling to Shazam. I would love to see them lean into that. I would love to see them lean away from politics and just keep us within the realm of these are comic book heroes. They stand for virtues that we admire them for. Because if Top Gun showed us anything, if you're just showing people those good old-fashioned morals, they enjoy the movie. And they can relate to the characters, and they can look up to the characters.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. It's Shazam 2 looks very similar to the first Shazam. It's got the colors and it's got the levity to it, and so it looks like at least with some movies they're going to go in that direction. And first Aquaman had plenty of levity to it as well, and really bright colors, and it was a very colorful movie. So I'll ask you the same question, Catriona. What do you think about all this news? You see an actress like Leslie Grace, who was on the up and up. She gets cast in this role of Batgirl, and the movie is basically done. Like, they're in post-production, and now it gets canceled. The directors hear about it at one of their weddings, and now DC wants to do a 10-year plan, and they're saying we're not going to streaming, we're going straight to theatrical with everything. We're going to treat our movies on the same level and get them to be on parity with Marvel. What do you think about all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Andrew. I think it's a good move. I think, especially after how Batwoman did, that was terrible. I feel like this Batgirl would probably be going in the same direction. And I think deciding now to, make these big decisions to not follow exactly in Marvel's footsteps of having all of these side things going on and just honing in on like their main characters to properly develop them. I think that's just going to be way better. I've always loved DC more than Marvel, and sadly, I haven't even watched all of the DC movies because I'm just not a big fan of how they've been handling it.
I'm actually in the same camp. Yeah.
Yeah, I love. I mean, they do have the better characters. I know all of them. I like their stories. I think they're more interesting. Not all of them. But yeah.
Well, they also canceled the Wonder Twins movie that was in early development and just cast the leads. They were like, Wonder Twins? Who the hell greenlit this? This happened weeks ago, but that's not happening.
But that's not DC, is it?
No, it is. Those characters, I believe they were initially introduced in like the Justice League Unlimited show.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
It's just but I think the idea of giving a Wonder Twins a movie while you haven't given Superman his own movie in almost a decade.
Well,
like
I think it's gonna build back trust with all the fans because it's gonna show that they're not trying to milk everybody from just for money and everything. They're gonna try to put quality into their work.
Yeah. I would love to see a new Superman movie that sort of harkens back to the Christopher Reeve Superman, who was just an incredibly decent man in his actions. He wasn't particularly theatrical. He wasn't really internal. He was actually kind of wooden, which might be an improvement. The scene that I always think about from the early Superman movies, he's like saving a cat from the tree, and I think that's what's happening, and he's flying, and somebody sees him out of their apartment window, and he just sort of goes, "Hi," and then he continues. I love that kind of stuff, but they could make him somebody that people aspire to be. And I think that's kind of what's missing from these superhero movies lately is they just sort of seem like everyday people. There's nothing exceptional about them except the fact that they have powers. We could use some role models.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you're making a great point there about Superman. I personally, I'm a outspoken defender of that Man of Steel movie because I thought it was like that Superman is relatable to the world we live in today versus the Christopher Reeve Superman. I think you need somebody with that charisma, which I think Henry Cavill has all the charisma in the world. If you wanted him to play Christopher Reeve-esque Superman, he could do it. But
Sure.
I think
I think
maybe we need something that's not necessarily exactly Christopher Reeve Superman. It needs to be updated,
yeah.
and I think they were kind of trying to take the character in that direction anyway. If you watched Zack Snyder Justice League, by the end of it, at least Henry Cavill Superman is smiling, and he's anyway, whatever. Let's move on
Yeah,
to
would
talk
it be
because you
so
brought up
hard
Superman.
to get a superhero that smiles?
Uh, Right? I mean, well, if you see the Shazam trailer, I think it's a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
think Zachary Levi has so much fun with that character. But speaking of, and then of course Black Adam too, which you saw DC League of Super Pets, and they keep teasing that whole showdown. So
Right.
all of that though kind of ties into what I want to talk about next, which is the character of Superman. As I mentioned a short while ago, we haven't seen a solo Superman movie since 2013's Man of Steel. We have seen him since in Batman v Superman in 2016. Then we saw him in 2017's Justice League, and then 2021's Zack Snyder's Justice League. But we haven't really seen him in his own movie. So and he's almost he's been in ensemble cast and stuff. And as you guys mentioned, the character has been very. He's not exactly been the what you think of Superman. You're like the uplifting symbol of the American dream, and like all that is good about
You're
the world.
supposed to feel inspired by Superman.
Exactly. Now I don't know if what I'm about to mention here means that this is where we're gonna go with the character or not. However, DC apparently now under Warner Bros. Discovery, David Zaslav on this quarter 2 earnings call, he mentioned that they want to take DC in a direction similar to what we have had Marvel on for a while. So we know that Disney has had great success with the MCU, with Marvel Studios, and then you have Kevin Feige there. They've got this 10-year, they never tell you it's 10 years, but they will tell you maybe like a 2-3 years out, 5 years out, like what they're going to be doing with the MCU. So here's the quote, and I'm going to read through this, so just stick with me. Basically, what we heard from David Zaslav at this call was, and he's talking about Alan Horn, who he brought back to the company recently for the first time in almost a decade. He's back. And then he talked about the 10-year plan that they have in mind. So he said it's very similar to the structure Alan Horn, former Disney CEO Bob Iger, who's now retired, and Kevin Feige put together very effectively at Disney. We think we can build a much stronger, sustainable growth business out of DC, said Zaslav. As part of that, we are going to focus on quality. We're not going to release any film before it's ready. They also said we're not going to release a film to make a quarter, which was a dig at 2017 Justice League and what Kevin Tsujihara's team did to make the movie and not delay it because, they needed more time to finish that movie clearly. Superman mustache, we know the deal. And then David Zaslav wrapped it up by saying DC is something we can make better. That to me says this guy and his team is committed to making DC on par with Marvel, if not better. Because like you guys said, their IP on many levels is superior to what maybe Marvel has to offer. However, the execution has been so terrible, that they come across as second-class citizens in the comic book world, movie world at least. So let me ask you guys this. Superman, now this is something that this quote didn't mention in specific, but David Zaslav also said that Superman is going to be the focus of this 10-year plan. We're going to build this, whether it's the continuation of the DCEU or if they're going to reboot the whole thing, they're going to build it around Superman. And I'm guessing that means probably some Superman movies, or something like that. I don't know if that means Henry Cavill is back. I hope he is. I mean, but Dwayne Johnson constantly teasing. But Catriona, what do you think about the idea of this 10-year plan being built around Henry Cavill, let's say Superman, whether it's Henry Cavill or not? And what do you think about the idea of a 10-year plan in general?
Yeah, Andrew, you said it right. No, I just love Henry Cavill as an actor anyway. I think he's fantastic. Like I said, last time I wasn't a big fan of Man of Steel. Again, I think it was just my expectations. I think maybe if I rewatched it without those expectations, maybe I would like it. I don't know.
I
I
saw it.
think,
I happened to catch it once when it was airing on TV, and I was captivated. So, and also I hadn't seen The Dark Knight, so I wasn't comparing it to that. And it's not bad. You know, it is that sort of Christopher Nolan-esque Superman movie that you want. It just didn't
yeah,
really have the appeal.
like I think, yeah, I'll try it again. We'll see. But I like the idea of them fleshing it out more. I think it was so rushed because it was like we had all those years to build up to the first Avengers movie. Meanwhile, we'd only had the one Superman to kick things off, and then immediately we go into
Yeah, we have
Batman
Batman v
v
Superman, and then Justice League,
and it was
and then they
just
have Wonder
yeah,
Woman
and it
before
was
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right. And it's like I know I just said like it would be smart to not follow in Marvel's footsteps, but I do like the idea of us seeing origin stories of superheroes. I think that's really important to get an idea of
It's
this
been long
actor's
enough.
version.
It's been long enough where we could reset everything. I'd love to recast Wonder Woman. I would love to recast and rethink the Flash. People are enjoying the Jason Momoa Aquaman,
Still
but
haven't
he
seen
looks nothing like Aquaman. Just give me regular Aquaman, please.
I don't mind Jason Momoa.
Of course you don't. But it's
What? He's a good actor, okay?
Mhm,
God,
mhm.
jeez.
Sure.
Oh, Dan, you're muted. I'm so sorry.
I keep talking. I do this every week. Anyway, I was like, what are you saying? Because Aquaman, I think Jason Momoa has given that character legitimacy in like the modern comic book world. Because if you try to translate the comic book like accurate Aquaman, he was the butt of
Yeah.
jokes for years. And I think
Oh, I know.
even on
I
the
know,
Justice
but you
League
know what? He
animated
didn't. He
shows.
never needed to be. He never needed to be.
I know, but here's the other thing too. They made the character much more diverse, and I think it works for the better here because, of course, it makes sense. Aquaman, wouldn't be your average straight white male character, and then there's plenty of those in the DCU anyway. So I like the casting choice. Also, like
Yeah.
the man looks the part. I mean, and nowadays I think
He does.
some
No,
of the
that's
recent
literally
Aquaman
the point. Is he
comics-
doesn't look the part. He looks.
Well, no, I think he
nothing like
looks the
Aquaman.
part.
He
I
looks,
think.
yeah, I know.
I mean, in fact, you know how? Okay, so here's a Marvel comparison. So back in when they cast Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. So historically, the character of Nick Fury in the comics has been like this white dude, whereas obviously Samuel Jackson is not that.
Yeah.
But since his casting, like a lot of the Marvel comics have changed, like the look of Nick Fury in the comics to reflect Samuel Jackson's silhouette or what do you want to call it. So he's no longer that character that you used to see in the comics before. So similarly, the DC comics, especially anything that ties into like their live action stuff, they have started to draw the character of Aquaman more like a Jason Momoa would look versus what you have historically seen in the comics for Aquaman.
Right, and you can see the same thing for even just the costume design of all the other characters. I mean, the original styles of all of them were so kind of silly looking. All of them. Batman, I mean, he looked ridiculous. And then, now it's like it got cooler,
I don't, yeah, but that's sort of what I've been saying is like I don't need them to be ridiculously cool,
Well, that's your opinion,
I know you
Andrew.
don't. But
Yeah,
I know.
everyone else wants it.
Sure.
That's what I. Yeah.
But at the very least, have it harken back to the actual design.
You know who
you know.
else I think wants it to be cool? This guy.
Yeah,
wants,
that guy.
He
yeah.
wants them to be.
You know what? I stand corrected.
Yes.
That guy.
By the way, what's his name? Alan what? The other guy?
Well, you're looking at David Zaslav. He's the CEO.
Yeah, no, but
Alan Horn. He's
Alan Horn.
Yeah. Kevin Feige
They-
calls him his mentor.
You know
he
what they
helped
need
set
to
up the
do?
MCU. Sorry, go ahead.
They need to do a reality show similar to Hell's Kitchen, where he is basically Gordon Ramsay coming in to fix studios,
That
universes.
is such a good idea. I would love to see that. Can you imagine?
That'd be a great sketch.
I'm imagining this. Is this Hell's Kitchen? Is that the one where the guy goes into bars and restaurants and he's like screaming at them like, "Oh, you think you're doing this right? Well,
Yeah.
toss this out. We're changing this up." And then
Yeah.
like, I've always
Gordon
heard
Ramsay,
stories
he's just yelling
like
and swearing. Yeah.
Yeah, and like weeks after he leaves, some of those restaurants shut down anyway because they just went back to doing things the way they were doing it
Yeah.
before.
Like,
But
I
you
don't
never
know that.
see the after stuff. That would be great. Doing it like this, and then they follow his advice. He's like, "What are you doing with Superman or whatever?"
You
And
know
then
that's something they should. So Kevin Feige, you know what the first episode would be? He would go to Sony Pictures and he'd be like, "What in the hell were you thinking releasing Morbius?" And then he would start there,
yeah,
and then he'd be like, "We're not doing that anymore. Toss that out in the trash. All right, like let's, what are you doing with this Venom franchise? Like let's talk about like
right.
yeah, I would. That's where he should
They
start.
have Yeah, no, it would be great because they have clips where like he goes in their kitchen and he looks through their fridge and he's going, "Oh my God, it's old, it's frozen." If he's like looking through all the archives and he's like, "Oh, these scripts."
Yeah. That,
Um,
okay, you know what? We need to make this a thing. This needs to be
I
a
think we
thing.
should.
We need to make
I think
okay.
we totally should.
We should totally make this. Anyway, okay. So we're getting sidetracked. Okay,
a
you
little
guys
bit.
seem to, but the consensus is that this 10-year plan is better than what they're doing now, right? Like, because especially since
Anything's
they
better
sort
than
of
what they've been
sidetracked
Yeah.
doing.
everything post Justice League, been getting seems like better movies overall, but they don't seem to have any like direction. They're just sort of all doing their own thing. So do you think a
Yeah.
10-year plan will kind of focus
Yeah.
like where everything is going?
I would say when you're at the bottom, the only way to go is up. And lucky for them, they they're kind of in a position where they can just kind of experiment and see how it does. I'm sure it'll be fine, better than like you
Yeah.
said, what they have right now. So
You know what David Zaslav says to that? He says that's the idea. That's the idea.
I
All right.
That's the caption there for sure.
That's the idea.
Look at that guy.
That's a good. That's. I'm sure this is a meme at this point. Anyway, so the last part I wanted to talk about here. So we've talked about the 10-year plan, what DC wants, what Warner Brothers Discovery wants to do with it. We know that they're going to try to build it around Superman. We also know, how they've shelved Batgirl. They're going to move on with Shazam. They have Black Adam coming up next in October. You have Aquaman coming next year, then The Flash later after that. Peacemaker is getting a second season. Then you also have things like, on the other hand, I'm sure you guys have heard of this. Let me put the image up because if you guys saw this earlier in our quick hits, Joker Folie Deux has been announced. Lady Gaga's coming on board with Joaquin Phoenix. The
Hmm.
Batman 2 is happening. So those things, I don't know if they're going to tie into this 10-year plan or not. But let's suppose, if you are on this team of people that David Zaslav says he's assembling alongside Alan Horn to shepherd this 10-year plan. Now, Alan Horn's probably going to be around for a couple of years. The guy's like in his 80s. He wants to retire.
It,
He's retired twice and come back. He retired from Warner Brothers in 2013. Bob Iger brought him back. Then he retired a couple of years ago when Bob Iger retired, and now David Zaslav has brought him back. So you know that Alan
if it
Horn's
were
probably
me,
going to, yeah.
if it were me, I would slash everything, and I would start at the ground. I would start
So
over completely. I'm not impressed with the new Batman.
me
I'm not
either.
like as long as we're getting rid of movies, as long as we got rid of Batgirl, let's just start over. I'm so ready for that. Just lay new groundwork, lay a solid foundation for characters that we can actually invest in. Rebrand it entirely and have us appreciate this as something that is not trying to compete with Marvel, that is just good
or
superhero
or
movies.
even itself, because the Batman just felt like it was trying to compete with the
The
Dark
Dark
Knight,
Knight.
and it was focused more on getting the
well,
vibe right as
it
opposed
didn't
to
help that one
anything
of the
to do with the
producers
character.
said they were trying to
Yeah.
beat The Dark Knight with the movie. Like
No,
he
you
literally,
can't.
No,
Just
and they
leave it
didn't.
alone. Just leave it alone. And no, they did not. They did not. I feel, well, that's a whole
I
discussion
mean,
in
I think
itself.
the
But
movie
anyway,
was good. I think it's to me, honestly, up until today, like it is still the best comic book movie of the year. Like that's for me. Again, my opinion. I think it's better than anything Marvel's put out this year. You know. Um.
You didn't like Spider-Man? Oh, I guess that was last year, wasn't
Well,
it?
the December,
what's this
and
year?
and even
Yeah.
if you count it, I still think the Batman was better. I had a very adverse reaction to it the first time I viewed it. Then I watched it back at home later on. Because the first time I watched it, all I had in my mind was, okay, so they want to beat the Dark Knight. Let's see how they did. And then the second time around, I
Hmm.
sort of left all my expectations at the door and just said, okay, let's watch this movie again. Let's see what it's got. And I had a much
I
better
had the
time with it.
reverse.
Oh, really?
I saw the Batman first, And then I went to go watch The Dark Knight for the first time. I was like, this is a much better movie.
Basically, the consensus here is that you guys want to start over, wipe the slate clean. Now, I say continue with what you've got that's working. So, in my opinion, I think Joker.
What's working?
Well, the Batman made like almost 800 million, and the Joker made over a billion. So,
Batman, no matter who makes Batman, it's going to make 800 million. It doesn't matter if they do a good job. People love Batman.
fair enough. Okay, fair enough. But the point stands. I think they can definitely continue with for the time being. Because here's the thing: if you want to start over from scratch, well, there's definitely a point to be made for that. I personally, in my opinion, I like some of what they have right now. I'd love to see Henry Cavill back for more projects. So I would love to see if they can right the ship with what's already in place, and then that way they're not necessarily starting from scratch. They've already been working on a third Wonder Woman movie. They could scrap it if they want to, but and then if you want, basically Joker and Batman exist in their own world. You can keep that separate. But
Nobody wants that.
uh, okay, well, look, I'm sure there's people out there who disagree with you, but the point I'm trying to make is I think they should continue with what they have now.
Sure.
If I was doing a 10-year plan, I would literally just go out and say, okay, more Superman movies. Let's do something more with Batman. I mean, they might not want to. That's the thing. If they have the Batman running on the side, do they want Batman and the DCU running at the same time? That's kind of
Yeah.
creates brand confusion. So maybe that's a reason for why they should either do one or the other. Who knows?
You know what?
There's a lot of
you know what
different
I would
ways
like?
they can go about this.
You
However,
know what I would? Yeah.
in my opinion, they should try to like at least salvage some of what they have now, because then they're not starting from ground zero. Because I think then that a lot of these character iterations are still too recent. If you then reboot Superman again, if you reboot like Black Adam, just his first movie is coming out like later this year. The Flash is getting his first solo movie next year. If you then go ahead and then after that just reboot everything, then people are like, wait, I thought that guy was Black Adam, and wait, he was the Flash. I, I think that will only cause more
That's what I'm saying.
issues. So,
That's what I'm saying. Start over. You know.
but if they were to do that, then I think they would have to like wait a few years. Okay, it's kind of like you remember people were like they were like, wait, Tobey Maguire's last movie was only a couple of years ago. They just brought Andrew. Like people were like weirded out by how quickly they rebooted the Spider-Man franchise. So I think
Yeah.
then that puts them in the position where they have to shut everything down for a few years and then start again, or they go in a
Or
totally
they
different direction for the starting point of that franchise.
they could focus on their standalones meanwhile.
Yeah. I mean, they
Yeah.
could
Fair
they
enough.
could start out with a brand new Superman and lay that as the foundation. You know what I'd really like to see? Because nobody's really done a good job of this yet. But in the DC universe, rather than the multiverse, they have the Bizarro world. I would love to say, like, we start with
that's
like
true.
an escape from Bizarro world. We see all of these characters in the opposite of what they've been, and that would give you the opportunity to be like, we're going to subvert your expectations. We're going to show you things not making sense, and we're going to escape from there so that we can now show you what the DC universe really should be. It'd be an interesting way in to, say this isn't what we aren't.
Do you mean like the versions where Batman was the one, like Bruce Wayne died and his parents,
That's
his mom went
Flashpoint.
insane?
Yeah, that's
That's
Flashpoint.
Flashpoint, which is cool, and they should definitely do a Flashpoint movie with a Superman who's frail and doesn't want to help anybody. I love that character, but the Bizarro world, it's like Bizarro Superman he doesn't understand anything. Like he's slow, he's dumb, he's egotistical, and he's this hulking mass of just like alien confusion. It would be cool to see that and then turn it on its head. Here's what DC actually is.
It would be cool to see it for just to change things up, and because we've never really gotten that. Nobody's tried that. Yeah, that'd be cool. Sure. Nice
Okay.
way to
I mean, I'm sure that for everybody you ask who's a fan of this franchise or not a fan, they will all give you different answers. And I think there's many different ways you can go about this. And clearly, I mean, we were just pretending to be the people in charge. We were not the ones in charge. The people
No.
in charge, I'm sure, know what they're
Yes,
doing.
we are.
'Cause
Well,
I
you
guess
know what?
we can we can vote
Our
with our
opinions
dollars. Yeah.
opinions are as valid as yours at this point. So tell us what yours is. Comment. Let's see what your thoughts or your plans for the next 10 years of DC would be. Because honestly, we don't know if anybody knows what they're doing over there. We can only hope that they do better. So tell us what your ideas are in the comments. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, right here, wherever you're watching. Just let us know what you think. If it's a good comment, we'll interact with you next week and respond. But in the meantime, thank you for watching.